那我在看这是干嘛？到哪进啊？
Hu Min Hui, your mic is unmuted. Thank you. Ho Shun Yue, your mic is unmuted. Please mute your mic. Thank you.
Maybe we can start.
All right.
Right.
Good morning, selamat pagi, everyone. Welcome to GoSmack webinar series this morning. Before we get started, let me introduce myself as the MC for today. I am Jet from GoSmack. Our topic for today is the IoT tsunami is here. Today's topic is indeed an interesting topic, especially for you who wants to extend your knowledge of IoT to a world-class level with career opportunities. I would like to first and foremost congratulate every one of you who have taken the wonderful initiative to learn a new skill, not only for yourself, but also for the good of your future journey. Before we kick off with our presenter today, a few quick reminders so that we could learn and enjoy today's webinar without many interruptions. Firstly, please remember to mute your mic so that your secrets are not being heard by all of us. Secondly, please show your love and encouragement to our presenter who have worked very hard and prepared this webinar especially for you. After that, thank you. After that, kindly check on your microphone and speaker settings in case you cannot hear our presenter voice. You can check on the More Options button with 3 horizontal dots, which is located in between the chat button and cross button in red. Or else, if you cannot sort the problem, you can right away drop a message to our chat box and our technical team will guide you. Next, we would like to invite all the participants to join our Global Talent Network GTN Telegram group. As you can see, we have provided the QR code for you to join our Global Talent Network GTN Telegram group. The main objectives of the GTN Telegram group is to learn, interact, and participate in webinars and activities conducted by peers, industry, and leaders, and also get access to webinar links, mentoring resources, and support. As well as material of presentations and the webinar recording link will be shared to the GTN Telegram group. Plus, you may get information for upcoming events and webinars. So kindly join us on our Global Talent Network GTN Telegram group for the updates. With that, let me introduce our speaker for today, Dr. Mazlan. Please give some online claps for our wonderful speaker. Dr. Mazlan, you can take over from now.
Okay, thank you very much, Jet. Today, I would like to share with you something which is very exciting topic, which has been hotly discussed in the internet world, or what we call the IR 4.0. If you look at the photo itself, you might still remember the 2004 tsunami that which happened, that hit Indonesia, Thailand, and even India. What happened is that is a very huge tsunami that almost killed about thousands of people. Reason being, we are being caught unaware about the destructive power of that tsunami. So the same thing goes with any new technology here. We shouldn't be be the one that just wait at the beach, laying around idling or enjoying ourselves, whereby a very big tsunami that's going to happen to us. So technology like this, if we are not able to be aware about the destructive forces, we might be drowned with that kind of force. So some people say that if you are at the beach, you will have to take that wave. You have to surf together with that particular wave so that you can be safe and you are more happy when you arrive to your destination. That's what happened when we are in Hawaii normally. Okay. So the reason being is that IoT actually comes at this inflection point. It has been coined by Kevin Ashton since 1999. That was about 21 years ago. 21 or 22 years ago. That was a very long time. But why only today that we have, start to hear and, talk about this Internet of Things? Some people might have just realized it quite recently, but some people might know this about maybe in 2014. But in my case, maybe like Michael also, in the era, we are in the telco world, we have been talking about M machine to machine, which was maybe in the early 2000s. So that was very, at the very early stage of Internet of Things. But now it's because there is these new ripples of technology that come in and merge and fuse together. We understand that whenever this new technology comes in, or these new ripples, when ripples of water, when they merge together, it becomes a bigger wave. Once the wave becoming bigger, it can even become what we call a big wave, then become like a tsunami itself. So this is the reason why you are seeing that technology that like in the hardware electronic world, becoming more cheaper and the devices are becoming smaller. You can even wear a huge computer now inside your pocket. So if you look at the connectivity itself, it becomes very pervasive. Pervasive means that wherever you are, you have the ability to connect to the internet, whether you are in your house or whether you are outside in the city or even probably in the very remote areas, even in jungle, there, in Antarctica, you might even have satellite as one of the communication means for you to get in touch with other people. So then we are looking at the software world where programming languages now making our life much simpler. Even there are times when you can even make applications without even a single coding. So that is how the software development, transform. And then this Moore's law, but we call it Moore's law because we see that numbers of transistors, that the integrated IC, the chipset, become double or every 18 months to 24 months. That's why you see there's a lot of new phones that comes out with new chipset. For example, like Apple, they have launched it every 1.5 years or 2 years. You will see a very big transformation. Computers and also smartphones, they use a different chipset. And then we are seeing that the new players that come in, becoming at one time you only see very big players that involved in IoT, but now you're seeing smaller players working in very niche areas. I will mention to you later in which areas, like for example, in the hardware players, then you see the people in the connectivity, the platform, even the application side. These are the players that involved in the whole IoT ecosystem. In terms of applications, I think there's a huge amount of application. You just think if you are talking about smart city itself, that there are anything that you see in the cities, you feel that there is assets for the city to monitor, that can be used, we can use IoT to, you just put sensors there and you can monitor them. Either is the bridge itself, the roads itself, the vehicle that you want to monitor, the garbage bin that you want to monitor, the buildings, you name it, even the air quality you want to monitor, the river. These are all the things that the city would like to understand, how we can put applications to monitor the conditions of the assets. Yeah. So this is the example of what Libilium have done. There's a lot of application, but this is only smart cities. But we are talking more than just smart cities alone. So when we talk about these IoT applications, we cannot run away from the new term that people have been talking about, the industrial revolution. Okay, let me tell you a little bit about industrial revolution. There's actually a very important meaning when we mention revolution. Revolution means a very disruptive and very sudden change. If you are moving very slow, then we call it evolution. Might as well we call ourselves industrial evolution if the way that we adopt and embrace technology in a very slow manner. But if you want to adopt something which is very disruptive, sudden, then it must be called a revolution. So in terms of IR 4.0, you might be wondering what happened to IR 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. What is actually the definition on this? So I make it more simpler to define it so that we will ourselves understand where we are before we say that, hey, I'm now in the era of IR 4.0. Are we really in this IR 4.0? Let me take an example. If you are in 1.0, if you are using physical tool, you're using manual to do your job, then you are still in 1.0. When you are using something which your machine, which is electrical powered, you are in the era of 2.0. You have moved to another level where you use internet, computers, you use databases. That is become 3.0. In the 4.0, when you use new technologies, if you have now been hearing about IoT, artificial intelligence, big data analytics, augmented reality, blockchain, virtual reality, robotics, drones. These are the technologies in the 4.0 because it uses a lot of data that is going to be collected, and we put in more intelligence in, automate a lot of things. So it become more humanized in that way. So in terms of technology-wise, in IR 4.0, in World Economic Forum, they have defined certain technology pillars, they call it. And they mention like space technology is one of them. AR/VR is what we have been doing now. Neurotech, something which maybe we are not focusing it, but this is also very important for them. Energy, storage, biotech, advanced material, geoengineering. These are the technologies which have been defined by World Economic Forum. But it doesn't mean that certain technologies are not considered. So in Malaysia, we might choose differently. So we might choose differently because depending on different sectors. Let me take a look. Let me bring you back to how we move towards this IR 4.0 in Malaysia. How we evolved from the days of, I think, as early as 2014. I'll just take 2014 because this is where we define what we call the National Internet of Things Strategic Framework. Malaysia have this idea of to make the country to become an IoT regional hub, where we have a good ecosystem, we have create new technologies, new products based on IoT, and we create this hub in Malaysia. But maybe it's because we are too early at that stage, because then we realize that a lot of people doesn't even know about what is IoT. So when we talk about 2014 to 2020, there's a lot of gaps that we miss out. So then we have, in 2016, World Economic Forum, the World Economic Forum in Switzerland, they mentioned that the fourth industrial revolution, this is the definition. And then we take that part of fourth industrial revolution, we come out with what we call industry forward. But industry forward in 2018, that when we launched this national policy, is only meant for one sector, one industry, which is manufacturing sector. So all the SMEs which in the area of manufacturing, they use this national policy blueprint. But we asked the government back saying that, hey, it cannot be just only manufacturing sector. There's a lot of other sectors which 4IR needs to be addressed, because otherwise it's just become what the German have been doing, Industry 4.0. The Industry 4.0 and Industry Forward is almost the same thing. They are focusing on manufacturing. But the 4IR technology, 4IR actually covers and encompasses the rest Either you are in healthcare, construction, education, you name it. It have their own 4IR initiative. But that initiative, like I said, in industry forward, they might choose only a certain technology pillars, which is very important for them. You know, for example, they want to, IoT is very important, AI is important, virtual reality, augmented reality, big data analytics, that are important technologies in manufacturing sectors. But maybe might not be in others. So that's why I think the government are now coming out with a different thing. So in 2020 also, just before 2021, you know that 2020 we have been hit by the COVID-19, and we realized there's actually a big gap in terms of when we work from home, you know what's the problem. You know, when you don't have access to a lot of facilities, when you are so complacent, you know, work in the office, but when you're out from the office, you are, a lot of things are not reachable, you know, things are not very well communicated, things are not even digitalized. So there is a lot of this gap. What we are saying that not only the digitalization gap, there's also this internet gap. We talk about internet is everywhere, but maybe there's coverage a lot, but access, the speed is still very low. So that gap is also one thing. So we need to make sure the coverage is better with a higher quality of service, bandwidth. But the digital part is also important in order for us to move forward to IR 4.0. So that digital part is what we call this process of digitization, where we convert anything which is from manual into digital. And then there is this, what we call digitalization, where we convert all the manual process into a digital process. And then there is the third phase where we call digital transformation, when you transform your business using technology like the IR 4.0. So that is where Malaysia also now focusing, you know, trying to encourage research and development in STIE lah, they call it, the Malaysia Science, Technology, Innovation in Economic Sectors. So there are 10 economic sectors that they focus on, and 10 technologies that can have impact to these economic sectors. So Malaysia also come up with the Malaysia Digital Economic Blueprint, the My Digital, to address the digital issues. And then finally, this year also we launched the National Fourth Industrial Revolution, the 4IR policy. So that 4IR policy now covers everyone. It's not only limited to industry forward manufacturing sector. So that's how we evolve ourselves up to today. Yeah. So then we realized that in order for us to move up there, we need more talents, people like you who are more ready to be placed in organizations who are now doing this transformation process. So as you know, generations like us in the organization, which is already very big, they might be in different era. So to know which era are you in, my era, your era, let's take a look at some example. Yeah, I give you an example. Which era of industrial revolution are we in now? So are we ready towards this IR 4.0? So the way that we cook, okay, where exactly are we? I'll give a simple analogy. If you cook using, using kettle and also fire, coal, whatever, so you might be using a 1.0 way of cooking. Maybe you use micro oven, electrical powered, yeah, but you can only change the temperature and the timer. That's it. That's the only thing that you can do. That's 2.0. But if your microwave is computer programmable, it can know how to cook barbecue, cake, soup, whatever, delicacies that you want. Is easily can be programmed. Yeah? The time and the temperature, whatever that you can easily program. That's 3.0. Yeah. Then the 4.0, if you use robots as your chef, then maybe that is the era that we are now. Are we in this era? Can we even cook our meal using a 3D printing? If we are not, most probably we're 3.0. Or we are in the kampong, in the rural areas, you might be still 1.0 way of cooking. Yeah. Okay, the way that we teach, the way that you study in the universities, if your lecturer is still using the whiteboard, the blackboard, is still the era 1.0. I'm sorry, that's a very old way. But maybe the lecturers have OHP, so they have transparency, electrical power 2.0. But now, most likely what we are doing now is okay lah, 3.0, online, webinar. This is the way for us to go. That's 3.0, but what's 4.0 way of teaching? If you use augmented reality, virtual reality, you use robot as your teacher, then most likely we have 4.0, the education sector. So where are we now in the education sector? So the way that we transact in using money, physical money, is still 1.0. If you use a cash register, catching, the sound of the catching thing is 2.0. But if maybe you use credit card, you are using 3.0 online. Then 4.0, you use maybe Bitcoin, e-wallet, so everything is cashless. That's 4.0. Okay, the way that we do travel booking, if you still go to the office, make physical booking, you have to be there to talk to them and make, that is physical booking 1.0. But if you have online, you make, not online, you still make a telephone call, at least 2.0. But if you have online booking, you are 3.0. But if you are using augmented reality, virtual reality, you can even make booking after you have visualized where the place that you want to travel. That may be as 4.0. Yeah. The way that we handle potholes, I give you a very simple example. Potholes, how do we handle them? Now using physical tool just to make sure the roads are flat. But 2.0, you might even use a steamroller, something which more electrical powered. 3.0, you might even use a tool, a mobile app, to detect and find the location, capture the photo, and geotag it where they are. But maybe 4.0, you might use image recognition, image analysis, that you can detect the potholes and classify that, very big holes or small holes or whatever. So that's the way that we handle the potholes. So when we ask again ourselves, where are we now? Are we already ready to move toward 4.0? Are we ready? Are we already online? Everything online? When I say everything online, when you do some paperwork, so I'm sure you are in the university might face this one thing. The lecturer might ask you to scan out, send you a PDF file. You answer that on that paper, and then you scan it back and you send it back to the lecturer. But that is not totally 3.0. That's analog, which is manual, and then digital, that's 3.0 online. So it's a mixture of 1 and 3. You might be in the middle, like maybe 1.5 or 2.5, So when we ask a lot of people, we are still not totally 3. We are still at 2.7. That's where we are. So if you want to move to 4.0, you must be digital ready, internet ready. You must pass that IR 3.0 stage, everyone. Then we are ready towards 4.0. So when we talk about IoT, we might ask ourselves, I'm not sure you guys from which area, but wherever you are, if you're handling any business, you might face this 7M of the business. Yeah. So IoT or any technology can have that impact or benefits, that you can use to solve the problems. For example, manpower. If you have problems of manpower, you have to send your staff, your field technician, to remote areas. The cost of travel, accommodation, meals, and all that. It's very expensive. Things that you can do that remotely by monitoring it, instead of having them to spend about 2,000 or 3,000 ringgit to do that kind of monitoring. You can monitor that from remote very easily. So manpower can be, productivity can be increased, and maybe most likely you can lower manpower cost because you don't need people to go out and do meter reading, for example. Yeah, we still remember the days. Remember last year when our electrical bill was, suddenly being bombarded after 3 months that we don't have any bill. The reason why we don't have any bill because the meter man, the meter guy didn't come to our place, our house, and get the numbers, the meter reading, because no one is traveling during that time. So what if your meter can be easily monitored from remote? So instantly you can get that data. Materials. a lot of materials that you either you know you house it in your warehouse, or you want to transport it to your customer's place. Things that you want to monitor where they are, their whereabouts, the condition of the assets, the conditions of your goods, whether it's a very good condition, sometimes very fragile. So the temperature, humidity, this sort of monitoring environment must be always constantly monitored, so that you know the quality of your material, and you know how the stock level in the warehouse. You don't want to understock or overstock. Yeah. So just in time sort of thing. So materials can be monitored. If you have machines, which is very expensive, you have to ensure that the machines are fully utilized. You don't want to buy something which is becoming white elephant. So you monitor that. Is it 100% of the time, 80% has been utilized? Or machines which give indication of errors, they are going to need some maintenance. So you need to put sensors there to monitor that kind of errors. And then if you take a look at processes, you remember when you want to do when these processes sometimes involve human. In the middle, there's human who have to validate and verify your data, then they send off. So there are several gates in between before the final process complete. But what if you put sensors in between that can validate, verify, and collect the data instantly without any human intervention? So then the process becoming very fast, faster and more efficient. You look at the way that we want to capture the market. With internet nowadays, the things that you are offering today can be offered globally easily. So the same thing that what you have now can be offered globally, or your customer become somewhere else in other countries, but your system can be somewhere else in different countries. So the same thing like ours, favorite. We have a product, we have a platform that sits somewhere in the cloud, but the sensors are everywhere around the world. In fact, more than 100 countries around the world. So the sensors can be anywhere. But, so it makes it easy for us to have global access. And then the products. If your product is only standalone, maybe you don't have much thing that you can offer. But the moment you can have the products to be connected on internet, you can monitor the product from remote. You can have a better customer loyal service, for example. Before the product goes down, you have to tell your customer, there's some problem with your machine. I need to come down and help you for the maintenance purpose. So you create a new business model for servicing, for example. Yeah. And then in terms of management, remember the days that the staff have to scramble every week, every month to crunch the data, put onto Excel, collect the data from various sources and present it to the management. So nowadays with data like this that keeps on continuously being monitored 24 hours and real time, instantly you can see on the dashboard. You don't have to present, again and again. So it's always there for the management to make decisions. So faster decision making and more transparent. Whatever things that you have captured, you're going to show that on the screen. Unlike when you have human, sometimes in human they just massage very good data only, but the bad data they will just throw away. So in digital, whatever you have captured, that's the thing that you have to show. Okay. If we want to go and embark on this journey of IoT, there are 4 main components that you've got to understand. The first component is the sensors and the actuators, the one that can control your bag. All these sensors, the human sensors that we have, now being turned into something digital. Temperature, humidity, pressure, you name it, location. These are all digital sensors. And then the connectivity part. If you are within in local area, it can be as close as using RFID, using Bluetooth. You maybe use Wi-Fi. When you go out, you might use 2G, 3G, 4G. Now already 5G. But there is new network now in IoT. They call it LP1, Low Powered Wireless Area Network, which comprise like narrowband IoT, Sigfox, LoRa. This IoT network is meant for this battery-based or small devices, which can consume less power and can send data much further away. Yeah. So that is this new network. Or you can use even satellite. That's quite expensive to do that. But if there is no other means for connectivity, you can use satellite. And then once you have the sensor data, you send through a connectivity, one of the telecommunication network. Where do you want to send it? So it must be hosted on a platform, what we call IoT platform or the middleware. So this is where you aggregate all the data that comes into your platform. And then from the data that you have collected, you can do, a wondrous thing. You can create new applications, you can create dashboard, for your visualization. You can even do some machine learning by extracting the data out, and you can make meaning out of that. So this was decision-making process, or you can create new business out of this data. Yeah. So if you're in this area, you might ask yourself, what kind of skills that being required for us to do this? If you are developing something which on the devices or the gateways or the cloud, you might use different programming languages. So devices, you can go closer to the device, which is like C and C++ is the common languages, or you use gateways, you might use Java or Python to do that, or C, C++. Or you can even use Java, JavaScript, Python, and PHP for the cloud. Yeah, so it's a web-based thing. So these are some of the languages which is very popular now. And if you learn these four, Java, Python, C, C++, you cannot run away. I mean, this is the most valuable programming languages nowadays. So it's good if your university is actually learning in this area. So if you want to start your IoT journey, you know that there is these 4 layers, right? The 4 layers is a sensor. For example, the IoT kit, the sensors, number 1 is the sensors. The IoT kit have these sensors that connect to many other things that you want to capture, maybe altitude, barometer, humidity, temperature. But then you want to send it out. How do you want to send it out? So either Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. So the connectivity in this case might be, for example, if you use Wi-Fi, you send it to a Wi-Fi. But where do you want to send it to? You send to a cloud, a platform. So Fabric is one of the platform that you can use to host your data. And then from there, you can extract the data out. You can create applications for your mobile app or your dashboard. And it can be viewed by many people. Once it's in the cloud, globally, everyone can have access to that. Yeah, so easily. So how do you want to do that? So let me tell you why the need for an IoT platform. Yeah. So it actually will help you to reduce your development work. Yeah, instead of doing months, now you can reduce to weeks, from weeks into days. Sometimes even from one day you can have that connectivity. Sometimes you just wonder how to connect the devices which now I have and send it to data to the cloud. Sometimes the students take them for 1 semester just to solve that problem, but you can do that in 1 day if you want to. Yeah, quite easily. So another thing is will validate your business case, because the idea is to solve a problem. So you can show an application, validate it. You validate means you have to show this to your customer. Then they will understand, hey, this is not the one that I want. So you are capturing a wrong data. So I don't want this kind of data. So you can validate your business case and go to market easily, because if you have this done locally, you can have the similar app. You can sell it somewhere globally. Yeah. So the platform also provide you many tools, to help you to make it simpler for you to. One is to onboard the devices. When I say onboarding the devices, is you have several devices out there and you want to connect it. They have different protocols, different way of connecting, different way of languages to talk to the platform. So the platform will ease that kind of thing. And then it will help you to do management of the devices, whether it's still on or off, you know that. And then if you want to have some business logic that you can put in, when a certain threshold being reached, you want to send triggering some notification, email or SMS or Telegram, you can do that. Yeah. So through the platform. So all of this, you can reduce your risk and cost, rather than you have to build again another infrastructure for a platform which can cost you ringgit 1 million or more. Then you can just subscribe to the platform. So it's easy. So you just use the platform to develop your application. So the platform is something like this, as mentioned to you just now, that the 4 layers, you can, from the sensor, the devices, the gateways, if you want to, or the device can connect directly to the platform, and then the applications. Yeah. So again, I just reiterate the ability for them to connect the devices easily, anywhere where they are, collect the data, which is very important for you, for any business case. Then you can have your analytics if you want to. So there is some visualization tool that you can see instantly. Yeah. And then the factors, if you want to choose the right platform, is that you must make sure that the platform is network agnostic. It can connect to whether it's mobile network, LAN, LoRa network, it doesn't matter. 3G network doesn't matter. And protocol, it can covers a lot of protocol. Then devices is already out there, can easily be onboarded. Yeah. And then it can be easily deployed globally. So, for example, the smart city application that I showed you to earlier just now, there are hundreds of applications that you can build, but it will make better meaning if you can collect all the data from different sources and put on a single dashboard. So that's why a smart city would like to see data that comes in from various sources on a single dashboard, then they can make decisions easily. And other ways is that if the smart city have its own IoT platform, it can blend the data, meaning it can blend from different sources of data, and a user or a developer can create any new applications, yeah, that can combine from different sources. So this is another topic that you can talk to, but it can create more applications. It can create more innovative applications. That's the idea. So once the data that you can collect, data is oil, but still black oil. Yeah, until you can transform the data to something more meaningful. From the hindsight means it's very descriptive, it's very historical. Things already you just want to know what happened, and then things which is diagnostic, you want to see why did it happen, and then it goes up to the level of what will happen, predictive. You can predict before it happens. The best part is that that thing can help you in terms of prescriptive. How can we make it happen? The data can help you that. So that's the level of difficulty. So that's why I think machine learning and all that comes in place, to help you. So let me introduce with Fabric IoT middleware. The idea of the IoT middleware is actually simple as what I mentioned to you earlier just now. But if we take a look at how we allow users to come in, is that it is in the cloud, but cloud have different various ways of providing the services. Yeah. So for example, a traditional on-premise services, if your organization have tons of money, you have an IT people, we have resources, then you put everything in house. Everything from the network hub to the server, to the CPU, to the operating system, and also the application, you build yourself. But because of the way that the very competitive nature of IT, you need to move fast. That sometimes you don't want to buy and buy new equipment, very expensive capex. Network servers you have to upgrade because it's very old now. Servers have to upgrade. So you don't want to do that. Now you allow other people to use that, other people to offer that service. So it can become an infrastructure service, where from the hardware and from the networking to the hardware part, the server part, it can be managed by other parties. But then you put in your OS, you put in your middleware, and you create your application. But sometimes you just also don't want to know about how to handle the application, how to handle the devices and all that. So you go up to the level of middleware and runtime services. This is where Fabric comes in. The user come in just to ensure that they can send the data, you own the data, and can create your own application. So Fabric doesn't know what applications that you use on our platform. What is it? A smart traffic? Is it smart building? Is it smart environment? I don't know. You own the data, but we will allow you to simplify your connectivity development and all that. Yeah. But there is also cases where software as a service, where everything is come in, like your Google Mail, Google Calendar. That's another thing. So in terms of IoT platforms, we are being categorized differently. There are maybe 800 IoT platform around the world. So we are one of them. One is the publicly traded Amazon, Google, IBM. They are the big players. Yeah. So they have big, expensive, but good, excellent products that they have that, but quite expensive. If you want to, you can go on board that. And then there is open source, the community that build the platform itself. Yeah. Then you can use that as open licenses. And that is end-to-end connectivity. One organization, they build a hardware, they build also a platform for them. But the platform is not open for others. It's only meant for their hardware. Yeah. but we are considered as developer friendly. So we can connect to any platforms, any systems and all that. So we consider that ourselves in that category. So this is where the platform looks like. You can connect as simple as Raspberry Pi, the Arduino. That's where you start your IoT journey. Yeah. Then you can later you can connect with more commercial gateways, commercial devices if you want to. So you can program the devices to connect it to the platform. Yeah. So from that platform, you can have other means that you can do, visualization or whatever. So we are now creating this, what we call the generation IoT. We are a movement, we call it, around the world. Generation IoT doesn't matter which age you are, from the schools, from the universities, from even people who's working, doesn't matter. These people are the one that wants to move and innovate new applications. So there is a community around this group of people, and we allow them to use our platform, and there is a lot of resources there, so they can start their IoT journey easily, because we have supported with some tutorials and all that. So once you subscribe to the platform, you will see all the projects that you are building. You know what data that goes in and out, how many percent that you have used, your utilization of your data, what kind of services, the tutorials and all that are inside there, references and all that. But most of the users use this because they also want to instantly show the output. Yeah? Once the data goes in, they want to visualize it easily. So there are some visualization tools and all that. So these are some samples that I'd like to share with you. And then if you look at the business models, when you have this, how do you want to sell it out, your services? The simplest one is subscription models. I think this subscription models is by, you pay by weekly, monthly, yearly. That's the way that you want to do. And then they pay for the benefit of the product it provides, the outcome based. For example, it can save electricity. This is the amount that you save. You pay that amount, a certain percentage is you pay this for to your vendor. Or selling extra capacity. You have machine which is underutilized, but you can use the machines to sell this to other people. So you have ample capacity. Or you use razor blade sort of business model where I give an example. Razor blade is products that have consumable that once you need it, you use it. So you maybe it's free. For example, like Amazon, last time they have Dash. You press Dash a button. Once you press Dash, this Dash button it connects directly to a ordering system where you can order your ice cream, whatever. So one button you press. So they might give you very cheap or free Dash button, but the consumables that you pay for that may be quite high lah. Yeah. And then there is the business model of IoT data. Some people wants to know the behavior of the user once they're in the supermarket. So they have sensors there. So they want to use that data. So you can sell that services. Pay per usage. If you want to use it, then you pay. There is these services like what we call usage-based insurance. Usage-based insurance means that when you drive, you have a driving pattern. So you pay based on your driving pattern. If your insurance are high, your driving behavior is bad, your insurance is high because the data is being captured from the car. Yeah. If you are a safe driver, your insurance can be lower, so you pay lower. That's one way. And then offer as a service. Sometimes you don't have to charge the IoT services. We charge the maintenance services. And once the data being collected, you can tell the customer that the machine needs to be maintained, need to be serviced. So you have to inform them. So that is a services model. So these are IoT business models that we have. So if you see the tsunami that we are facing now, where are we now? So last time we are very innovators are creating new applications. Early adopters is coming in. Hopefully now we are crossing that chasm. Otherwise a lot of business go down the chasm and die. So now we are moving towards that high part. The early majority is starting to use the applications. But we also don't want to become the late majority and the laggards. Remember in the beach where the tsunami hits, there's some people who just not moving at the beach and they're being hit by the big tsunami. That's where the laggards is. So they just don't want to adopt new technology and they fall behind or being drowned. So how do we break these IoT barriers? There's a lot of these barriers out there, but I think the main part is the business identifying the business problems. Once you understand the 7 M's of your business, choose which of the 7 M's. Maybe you choose one or maybe top 3, and then you identify that. And then you need to recruit new talents who understand this technology. The people like yourself who comes out from the university understand what IoT is. The process need to be changed. Action need to be taken. The change need to happen in the organization because it's no longer IR 2.0 era, 3.0 era. You are now moving 4.0 era. The culture need to be changed. And then you need to break down the barriers because too many departments can stop a lot of your projects. So you need to have champion that can break down the barriers. You can have pilot projects. You can think big. You can start small because by doing small, you can convince your C-level, the chief executive, chief marketing, chief sales officers, chief technology officer, whatever. You can convince them that you can scale up. Okay? Then from the data that you have collected more and more, then you can create new business model if you want to. So I want to leave this with, because we have a couple of minutes for question and answers, but I have a few more slides to share with you. Favorite itself, we have gone more than 115 countries around the world. We have more than 5,000 application developers out there being using the platform. Yeah. So we are happy to see that. And if you want to know more about IoT, my thoughts about IoT, and also the things that I mentioned to you, you can scan this one out. You can go to this website. You can download these 2 ebooks which I've written for free. Okay. Now, what I want you to do is that if you have a mobile phone, because I want to give some prizes here. Yeah. So be ready. The next slide will show you the contest. Yeah. So I give you a couple of minutes to do this. What happened is that you go to this website, you go and enroll this favorite platform as a user. Choose a free user now. Okay. Use a valid email address to register. You can scan it or you can go to the link platform.favorite.com. Number 1, number 10, and number 20th will win a prize. It's not 1, 2, 3, but the number 1 who's the fastest, number 10 a little bit late, and number 20 late. So this is cabutan bertuah lah, I said. Yeah. So you will get 100% voucher for 1 year subscription worth 100 ringgit. So you can subscribe for free now, but once you win this, we will give you a voucher. Yeah. So this voucher you can use to upgrade your free account into a beginner account. So beginner is a paid account lah. It's 100 ringgit per year. So so I can see there's a lot of people being already registered. Okay, try it out. Please, you have 1-2 minutes to do that. Okay. So once you have that, we will email you using your valid email address for this voucher. Okay. So if you have, download this. But don't worry, the people who didn't win anything, I still give you something, a prize. You can use this voucher, GoSmack 2021 voucher, you will get a 25% discount per year. Yeah. So for that 1 year beginner plan, you select the 1 year beginner plan and you can choose this voucher, you can get a 25% discount. So that we will help you. All right. Okay. Don't worry. The presentation slides are available. If you go to this website, slideshare.net/Mazlan1, you will get this IoT Tsunami is here slide and the things I mentioned to you earlier just now, that you still can download it and get the voucher from there and whatever. All right. So with that, I would like to say thank you very much. We have maybe a couple of minutes for question and answers. But if you guys want to connect with me, talk with me, email me, go to my Linktree link, and then you can contact me from there. Yeah. So thank you very much. So I'll pass back to the moderator. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mazlan, for such a wonderful and insightful sharing. Let's have another round of applause for the sharing given by Dr. Mazlan. Now, I'm sure some of you may have doubts or questions for our speaker, but I'd like to ask you to keep those questions for a moment and kindly use your phone to scan the QR code as shown in your screen right now to fill in just a quick survey form to leave us some feedback so that we could improve your webinar experience better in the future. Your feedback really matters to us, so we hope you don't mind giving us your cooperation and taking your time to filling in this survey form, as you only take only 1 minute. And also, you'll be eligible to receive an e-certificate from us for those who have filled up the survey. Thank you so much.
Jed, while we're waiting for the survey to come in, Dr. Mazlan, thank you so much for your wonderful sharing. I would like to encourage everyone to send in your questions. Either you yourself, you can type in your questions, or you can just turn on your camera and turn on your mic right now. I'll start off with one question, maybe to Dr. Mazlan. Dr. Mazlan, which industry so far do you see is making a good progress in either IL 4.0 or in IoT sector, I guess, from a technology perspective in Malaysia or in the world right now?
Okay, in the world, most of the IoT applications in the healthcare area, healthcare in the world, but in Malaysia it's slightly different because healthcare is quite a very sensitive area, and it's not that easy to penetrate this kind of sensitive area. But in Malaysia, most of the applications are either from the manufacturing, because the government are pushing in this area sector, manufacturing. And secondly, surprisingly, is in the agricultural sector. So, so that's one of the areas. But also now we are moving towards smart city. So there are a lot more initiative now being put forward to get more applications for smart applications for in the area of smart city. So like Malacca is doing that, and then we are seeing Perak also doing that now, and also Johor is also doing that. So that is the focus area now.
Right. So in smart city, what are the cities normally started with on their IoT projects?
Okay, like
is it more on the surveillance?
The applications area, you mean?
Right, the application area.
Okay, the applications area mainly the environmental, the air quality, and also the river, and also now is more traffic monitoring, and also security. So security in the sense more surveillance. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. So for I guess for university, for fresh graduates, where would you encourage them if they would like to start out with IoT quote unquote venture? Which area would you advise them to look into?
It depends whether they want to become the producer or the consumer, or from the supply or the demand side. So if you are now become demand side, where you work in organization, so it doesn't matter which organization that you are. Any areas, like I mentioned to you just now, the 7 M's of the business, you need to convince the management that these are the areas that can improve, the areas that you have that kind of pain point, and where the technologies can play that role. But if you are in the supply side, the technology sector, this is where you need to take a look at the 4 layers which I mentioned to you earlier. From you want to design the hardware, so you can go to venture with the organizations that produce hardware, the electronics part, or you can work with the telco. The telco is now moving towards IoT. And then the platform is not many players. People like us is one of them. But there are a lot more people now moving towards the application. I think the value now comes from the applications. The people just want to know how to create new applications, get the data out, massage the data out, display the data, and maybe doing some machine learning out of that. So this is where the area are in. Yeah, but it doesn't matter which area that, which vertical. I think the vertical which I mentioned to you just now is about maybe like smart cities, manufacturing is one the area. Yeah.
Right.
But
Thank
again,
you.
but again, I think the focus, the talent that you want to build depends whether you are which focus area. You want to be expert in which layer. It's very difficult for you to be expert in all the 4 layers that I mentioned to
Right.
you. So they have to focus which one. Yeah. So Malaysia
Right.
still requires a very good ecosystem in all the 4 layers.
Right. Thank you very much. I think Zainab, you have a questions for Dr. Mazlan?
Yes. Actually, I was wondering about the battery life of the IoT sensors or the IoT devices, because usually when I hear about IoT, the most searched keywords that I find is battery life or battery life challenges. So, is there any way that we can overcome this? And is it possible for if we use the solar system or the solar energy? Is that how we can overcome it, or how we can possibly overcome the battery life issue?
Okay, until the time that we have a battery, breakthrough, then we have to make do with the current battery technology. Okay, okay, battery life can be optimized based on the application. We need to understand the applications that you are deploying. If the data is, is not regular, sometimes it's only alerts that you want to send it out. That battery life can last long as like 5 to 10 years if you want to. But it only based on when you want to send it if there is alert. But if there is constant data that is going to be sent out, then it requires either electrical power. But it depends on the applications, because sometimes very simple device with a solar powered, then does it make any economic sense? Unless it's a very critical area, you require that, then a solar power is, so you have to weigh that the economic sense, the business part. Otherwise, it's too expensive to deploy every time there is a solar power. It's just a matter of balance. In terms of the data, you have to make sure that optimization can be based on whether it's always a sleep mode, whether it wants to have alert, whether you require every minute or every hour of data. Sometimes sometimes it's only once a day. So that's how you balance your applications. Thanks, Anna.
Thank you, Dr. Maslan. One more question is regarding the privacy of the applications. When we make the application or when we create our IoT system using the platform, is there any privacy or security measurements that the platform would be providing for the clients?
Okay, so privacy and security are two different things. Privacy means in terms of business rules, okay, and security means in terms of the technology part. So technology part, it is always secured because the data is being resized in a very is one of the for us is digital ocean. Digital ocean is a very secured site. Yeah. So when it's a secure site, because cloud providers don't want to have being questioned about their security. So that is well secured. The data and the end users, you have to secure it by yourself. So you cannot blame the cloud provider, because sometimes the data is not being tapped at the database in the cloud, but sometimes at your customer premise. So that you have to protect by yourself. In terms of privacy, is based on business rules. So for example, in our case, as I mentioned to you, because we are platform as a service, your data and your applications is yours. So we don't know exactly what data that you are being using. So other people also cannot view it unless you give them a special key, which is in the application developer, you have the API key. So don't disclose the API key for other people to use. Once you have that, people can access your system. But the API key is very well secured. It's a 256-bit key, so it's very difficult to hack. So the moment you have that, the key is always being authenticated with the platform. Only the people with the key will have access. Otherwise, no one can have access to that data.
All right, thank you, Dr. Maslan. Thank you so much.
Someone dropped down a question in the chat. Minging asks, what can a student use the favorite platform for?
What can a student use?
The platform favorite.
Okay. One of the things that normally the students want is to quickly show their data, display their data into a dashboard. That's one thing. So in order for them to do that, they have difficulty on extracting the data from the system and send to, sometimes you need to have your own server, your own web server or whatever database server. You need to set up and store the data. So to ease your data visualization, we will help you that by sending the data quickly to your account, your platform. Once you subscribe, your data will be connect directly to your account, and you have a tool there, create a widget to display the data quickly. So that can be done in one day. Right? You don't have to wait for, you have to set up another server to do that. So it will simplify. Yeah. So that's one thing. Another thing is because, as I mentioned, there is this different protocols that you need to learn. Some sensors comes with REST protocol, REST, R-E-S-T. Some come with MQTT. Some come with CoAP. So these different protocols, so we support these different protocols. So you can easily onboard this by sending that data with different protocol. Yeah. So you might have a single protocol device or multiple devices with different protocols. It doesn't matter. But the display on the dashboard can be easily shown. That's the thing. So the display on the dashboard can do both. Either you can display this privately, meaning to say on your account, or you can share your URL to other people outside. So people just click the URL, they can see the data easily from anywhere around the world. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Maslam. Another question asked by Liu Zhengyan. Is there any challenges to implement IoT in a city?
Okay. What we see in real life, the challenge in a smart city is not the problem of technology. Technology is there for you to deploy is quite easily. The main challenge of getting IoT smart city applications is to get convinced from the smart city authorities. That's the issue, because I think there's a lot of process needs to be done. For example, I give you a example. Malaysia, for example, Malaysia have its own blueprint. The Ministry of Housing, they have a smart city blueprint, but that smart city blueprint cannot translate into execution action items unless the smart city will take that blueprint and have their own action item or framework, within the smart city, their smart city area. Because not all smart city have the same pain points. You might see the pain points of one city is only potholes, but another smart city, other cities, they say the security is the issue. So their priority might be different. So one is to get the prioritization of these cities where they are, and then to get approval from the local councils, because sometimes once you have that approval, now it's easier for you to put the infrastructure in. You have to put the poles where you put the sensors, places which need approval from the local council. So it's not something that you have an idea, you set up everything there, but local councils need to approve that. So my answer to that is that it's not the technology, but is the people needs to be also convinced. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Someone asked a question. Lam asked a question. Dr. Mazlan, I asked there's something I want to ask that's related. Might not be related to what you're talking about. For now, the Facebook company has already changed its name to Meta, and they mentioned created an app called Horizon for those who wants to have a meeting virtually with the character they can capture face action. How do you think the VR or parenthesis virtual reality work in the future?
So my view is this is quite a very good question here. I think Zuckerberg have done a good job in terms of making the virtual reality into a reality. No, we have been working from home. We have limitations of, have our own this kind of communications webinar, like what we are talking now. I don't know who am I talking to. You don't have any pictures and all that, so it doesn't feel that you are in a real environment. So virtual reality brings you that phase where it's a virtual environment that you have that almost the same feeling when you are facing people in physical. So that will transform the way that we do communications. It's transform the way that we transact. So now everything can be from remote. It doesn't matter. Now you have the emotion coming into your communication, process and all that. So that will really help in terms of as compared to now, which is very two-dimensional. It's not three-dimensional. So that's what I see in terms of virtual reality. That's good.
All right. Another question by Wei Xin. Is self-driving cars considered one of the applications of IoT?
Oh, yes. In fact, if you look at there are 4 stages of IoT. The first phase of IoT is all about monitoring. When you have a simple GPS, you can monitor that. You have certain sensors, you can monitor that. The second phase of IoT maturity is control. Once you can able to monitor, you can control things. Meaning to say a car which been traveling, when the car is being stolen, you want to control the car. You want to stop the engine. So that is level 2. Once you have go to the level 3, the phase 3 is about optimizing. When the car have so many sensors, it can collect a lot of data. So you can ensure, you can tell the wear and tear of the car, when you want to send for service, whatever. So that's phase 3 of IoT maturity. The fourth IoT maturity is become autonomous, when the car can drive by itself. When the car can drive by itself, it has sensors, LiDAR, image processing, whatever. There's so many sensors within the car that can tell different objects. And that's where the level of IoT become the highest highest phase of IoT maturity.
All right, thank you. Another question by Wenduan. How Dr. Mazlan think about the safety of IoT so far, since everything's online, and is it easier to get a DDoS attack?
Yeah, this is the 99.99% question people will ask about security, hacking, and all that, which I didn't address here, but you're right. People are scared about now. Whenever things are on internet, it's hackable. Someone can really hack into them. So IoT security, if you're in the computer science, I'm sure you have learned about the 7 layers of OSI. From physical layer, the data link layer, the network, the transport, the session, presentation layer up to the application layer. So all these 7 layers have their own security level. So if you want to ensure that everything is protected, go into all the 7 layers to protect it. But of course, too much protection also can incur a lot more cost and more troublesome for people. So it depends on certain application in which layer that you want to protect. Yeah. So that's my basic answer for that. All right. Thanks.
All right. Another question by Wei Xin that's related to the self-driving car. Isn't latency a big problem?
Of course. Yeah, latency. Okay. IoT applications have different applications. You can see it evolves. The moment the speed comes in, it also evolves. So current applications, it doesn't matter what kind of data, the latency doesn't matter. So you can send data and can be delayed 1 or 2 minutes, also still okay. But real-time applications like operating system, car, autonomous car, it cannot have that kind of delay. So that's why I think the government are pushing for 5G. So the 1 millisecond delay is most important. So things which even your brain doesn't make the decision, but 5G can make the decision faster than before your brain can think. So that's how fast it is, the latency issue. So that's the idea. Yeah, that's good.
All right. Another question by Thong. when do you think Malaysia or even just KL will be ready for the IoT tsunami or to transform into a smart city?
Good question. Okay. Okay. I give you an example like this. Okay. Maybe a different scenario. Okay. The readiness of any IoT or smart city application is based on, if you go to an exhibition or conference. Okay. I give an example. If you go to a conference or exhibition, where are these people? If they are in conference hall more than the people in the exhibition, these people are still trying to understand about the technology, about the business case, and so on and so forth. So they are still trying to learn. But if you see that the more people in the exhibition hall, meaning to say they want to know more about how to deploy, what are the technologies, I want to do this, what are the options available. They are now more ready. So I don't want to answer that, but if we already have a physical exhibition and conference, take a look at that. So I used to be in the conference. I used to be in that situation as an exhibitor. Initially in 2014, we were talking about IoT smart city. I have this exhibition in Malaysia. Very few people come to our place in the booth. Okay, it means that, oh, okay, I don't know whether it's not attractive or what. But when I was having that booth, the same booth in Singapore, this non-stop people are stopping by and trying to ask about what are the solutions that we have, how we want to do that and all that. So meaning to say, I can see people more excited to deploy things when you have more people at the exhibition booth. That answers your question. So let's see, once the physical conference are now possible, you go to any exhibition hall and conference hall. You tell me about that. Okay.
All right. David asked a question. Dr. Mazlan, how does the IoT affect our daily lives?
Okay. My life, I give you an example. My life is being simplified through IoT a lot. I think even with this wearable device, it's one of the best IoT device that I have that tells me and capture my daily activities and my health also. So I can constantly check my health using. I have a phone that captures my daily activities. I have my watch also to capture my health patterns. I have blood pressure is also wireless, which is also captures my my blood pressure. I have this thing, so oximeter is wireless to capture my oxygen. I have Foci is one device that puts on the belt that measures my focus activity, whether I'm focusing or not. If I'm not focused, it gives a data which tells me I'm not focusing my work. My house have lights which tells my wife when I'm near to my house, 100 meters from my house, the lights in my house lights up, so my wife know that I'm coming home. So this sort of thing that little bit here and there that affects the life of the people. So don't use that technology to make us lazy, but technology to help you in your daily life. Yeah, that's a different example. Thanks.
All right. Jonas asks, Dr. Mazlan, in the future, is there anything that we should be worried or be careful about when IoT becomes a very common thing in our daily lives?
No, I am a baby boomer. Okay, I'm a baby boomer. Some says that baby boomer are too old. They are IR 1.0 era of dinosaur and all that. But I'm not. I still love the IR 4.0 technology that I can use this as my daily life. So for us, it depends the tools that we want to use for me. For business, for example, the IoT actually once we have that, it can become like a small agent that helps you to monitor things that you don't want to monitor. You can't monitor regularly. It become so it will help a lot of things. So it become a daily life. So it becomes part of you. Yeah. So that will transform the way that we do things lah. So I think if you watch the Jetsons cartoon last time, it was early 1960s, but they already imagined the way that we live in the IR 4.0. Even smartphones at that time was already being imagined in 1960s, so early that part you can have a mobile phone, watch that you can have a video conference. That become part of the system. So, but don't use technology like this to become something which is make you more complacent. That's what not we want. All right. Thanks.
All right. Question by Voon. Dr. Mazlan, is this device capture the correct data like oxygen level compared to the device in hospital? I think they meant the watch you're wearing, the smartwatch.
Okay. So devices like this, there are two devices. One is consumer based, one is medical grade. Consumer grade and medical grade. The medical grade is the one that has been approved by the health authorities. Anything that has been approved by the health authorities are the one as accurate as in the hospital. The one that you buy from China here and there, it doesn't have a type approval, then it's not as accurate as the hospital one. Yeah. So you have to check it out.
All right. Thank you. Another question by Lee Kam Leong. Dr. Mazlan, for those countries that are getting into IR 4.0, what's the difference that will be seen between those backwards countries compared with the advanced countries?
The biggest thing that you can see is the competitiveness of that country. So they are very competitive. They have transformed themselves, become more efficient in doing things. Their business are far more advanced. They are more global. They are more global in that sense. You know, they hire talented people. So that's why we feel that people who are now in IR 4.0, not as consumer, the one that can produce technology, a producer nation. If we have become a producer nation, we produce our own technology products, and then our talents are more useful because we need them. We need more innovative people who can create and develop new things. We don't want the engineers that goes out and then just recommend things. That's it, as a user. That's not. So that's why our salary until the end of the day, our salary still remain the same for the last 20 years, the engineers. But if you look at countries who are more advanced, they use their people to create new things, become more innovative, more competitive. Their salary is higher. So that's where we can see that kind of differences. Yeah, that's good. Thanks.
Thank you. Another question by Thong again. Do you think the overdevelopment of IoT is beneficial to humanity, since there are a number of dystopian fictions that are based on this?
The overdevelopment, there's such a word of overdevelopment of IoT to beneficial to humanity. If you feel that IoT being implemented in robots, for example, then maybe people are scared about robots going to replace jobs of the people. So that's what happened when machines are created with AI capability. They replace jobs of the people, and this is the only thing that people will feel threatened. But of course, you see, robots are here to help us. It's not like they are our competitor. They should be what we call that cobot, and a cooperative robot, meaning to say they help us. Things which we cannot think or we cannot remember, the robots can remember. Things which we cannot do or handle, the robot can handle. Jobs which so dangerous, robots can do that for us. So we should have that kind of technology to help us, instead of telling us that that they are threatening us. The reason why we do all these things is because the robots are not there previously, but now the robots are there. Then we should be doing other jobs. That's the reason. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Another question by Jelly. Dr. Mazlan, how if the users are afraid of data breach or the illegal access and control from the internet when they're using the IoT devices?
Okay, this is something which needs education and trust with technology. So if you are unable to provide trust to the technology, then it will be very difficult for any new usage of technology. This is what happened to banking at one time at the early stage. No one trusts that. They feel that online banking will take their money away. But now people are moving towards that. No one now, a lot less people going to the bank nowadays. Transaction, payment that you put on your e-wallet. Now people are more trusted on that kind of usage. But this requires, we cannot satisfy everyone. There are certain people that, like just like vaccine also, there's still anti-vax, the same thing. So technology, there's still people who are anti-technology. So we can't, we can't help with that. So, but trust is very important in any solution. So once you breach the trust, then it's very difficult, right? Thanks.
All right. Also another question by Mr. Michael. Dr. Mazlan, how could IoT or IR 4.0 be used more in the higher education sector?
This is a question which people ask me a lot. They think that IoT can be implemented in education sector. There are things, not all IR 4.0, not IoT, maybe IR 4.0 technology can. I give like IoT, maybe for education sector, is like, you have a digital card for you to track the safety of your students, using the library. This sort of thing can be used for that purpose, for that kind of IoT solutions. Like the IR 4.0 technology, I can say like virtual reality, augmented reality. Education is very needs to be upgraded into that kind of learning process. Now things that you very difficult to show physically or to go a certain place. Now you can use virtual reality or augmented reality to do that. Robots can be used as teachers to help education and all that. So this is where this technology can play a role. Otherwise, for me, higher education also plays a very big role in talent development. We need more people to understand the impact of this technology. Once they go out, they go to the organizations that they work. They need to transform that. We need to not to replace. We need to transform that organization fast. So that's the thing that we are facing now. Thanks.
All right, thank you. If there's any other more questions, you can drop it in the chat, or else I'll move on from this Q&A session. I'll give around a couple minutes. If anyone wants to ask a question, you can either raise up your hand, now unmute, or anyone can drop down in the chat and I'll read your questions. I can see that no one, I think everyone has asked their question already. Hopefully today all of you have known and learned a lot from the webinar session. Now we know this could be hard for some people, but we would like to invite all of our participants to switch on your camera just for a few minutes so we could have a group photo session together. I know some people might be shy, but don't worry about it. It's not the end of the world and we are not going to do anything illegal whatsoever. So everyone, please smile and show your bright white teeth to us. Thank you.
Now I can see people behind the screen. Okay. So I think Meta, Zuckerberg, that talk about virtual reality, that's very important.
Yeah.
Do we have the cameraman?
Done.
All right. Is that all? You done taking? All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for your cooperation. You may now turn off your camera. Thank you so much. Last and foremost, thank you all for joining us this morning. We hope you have enjoyed our webinar as much we have enjoyed hosting this webinar for you. Before the session ends, please do not forget to join us in our Global Talent Network GTN Telegram group with the QR code that has been provided by our team. And also for those who have not filled out the survey yet, kindly use the QR code to scan it and you're rewarded with an e-certificate after this. Thank you, terima kasih, and that's all. Goodbye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mazlan.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I will get in touch with you separately next week. Yeah.
Well, right.
Yeah. Thank you again, Doc.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good to see you.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Mazlan. Yeah. Thank you. Jet, I think you can have whatever music you want now. Good job,
Yeah.
everyone.
Well,